Mapping and apps for lakeside boondocking. Finding a legal lakeside boondocking spot, free dispersed camping, requires careful mapping and checking of land use rules. Modern mapping apps and online tools can simplify this by overlaying public land boundaries, showing roads, and highlighting closures. Key tools include public lands overlay apps, Forest Service motor vehicle use maps, MVUMs, topographic and hydrographic maps, and official closure alerts. By cross-referencing these resources with satellite imagery and user reports, you can pick a suitable lakeside site in advance. This article outlines a step-by-step workflow to plan a safe boondocking trip. How to use these mapping layers, verify land status and camping rules, prepare offline maps, interpret shoreline slopes, and vet crowdsourced campsite reviews. We'll finish with a detailed pre-trip checklist and common red flags to avoid. Public land mapping tools. Digital overlay maps are invaluable for identifying public land by a lake. Apps like OnX Off-Road, Gaia GPS, and specialized camping apps, e.g. dispersed.app or FreeRoam, include government lands layers showing areas managed by the U.S. Forest Service, BLM, state, tribal, or other agencies. For example, the OnX Off-Road app highlights public and private land boundaries for the whole country, helping you spot public lakeshore areas. Gaia GPS similarly offers a public land layer, so you can tell at a glance if a point is on USFS, BLM, or private land. OnX also cautions users government-owned lands may not be open for public access, so always verify site-specific rules. Land management overlays dramatically reduce the risk of trespassing. For instance, a camping report notes that checking a specialized public land overlay app helps swimmers or campers find free campgrounds, dispersed sites, and the roads to get to them on USFS, BLM, and other lands. When scouting lakeside sites, use these overlays to ensure the lakefront is on public territory. Remember, many lakes border mixed ownership, so a campsite spot that looks ideal might actually lie on a private parcel or a protected district. Public land layers, often colored, make these boundaries explicit, and combining them with topo and hydro maps further confirms you stay on allowable ground. MVUMs and road access. For national forest lands, the Motor Vehicle Use Map (MVUM) is the authoritative source on open roads and trails. The USFS publishes MVUMs by unit, showing exactly which Forest Service roads are open to vehicles and where private inholdings interrupt public land. An MVUM is essentially a legal driving map. It illustrates where visitors are allowed to drive their vehicles, both street legal and off-highway, in each forest. If you find a lakeside spot on a public lands overlay, cross-check it on the MVUM or unit's MVUM website to ensure the approach road is open to cars or trucks. Closed or gated roads often correspond to where an MVUM marks no access. For example, the USFS maintains an online MVUM finder by region. Use it to locate the current MVUM for the forest you plan to visit. MVUMs also highlight private parcels, inholdings near public roads, so you can avoid inadvertently parking on private land. This is an important companion to public land overlays. In practice, you might use Gaia or OnX to identify a lake peninsula on USFS land, then switch to the forest's MVUM or GIS layer to trace the exact road and trail network permitted for vehicles. Topographic and hydrographic layers. Topographic and hydrographic water map layers help pick the exact lakeside spot. Contour lines or hillshade indicate slope, while hydrographic layers show the lake's outline and inlets. For example, Gaia GPS's specialized topographic base map includes water outlines and elevation contours on a high-resolution raster map. By studying the contours near the water, you can identify gently sloping beaches versus steep drop-offs. A shallow shoreline might be ideal for setting up camp or launching boats, whereas a steep forested bank could be unsuitable or unsafe. Similarly, hydro layers, streams, reservoirs, shorelines, pinpoint exactly where the water's edge lies. On satellite or topo maps, look for bays, sandbars, or beaches that show wide, flat contours. Some mapping apps like Avenza Maps or Gaia even let you toggle specialized water-based layers to highlight rivers and lakes. Using these, you can select a site where the gradient is gradual, for example a wide, flat spit or peninsula, and avoid narrow coves or steep banks. Wildfire and other closures. Finally, always check for area closures and restrictions, especially wildfire-related. The USFS and BLM regularly impose temporary closures for fires, safety, or resource protection. The official advice is clear. Before going hiking or camping, check with the forest, grassland, or ranger district for fire restrictions or area closures. Likewise, the BLM says to check for regional fire restrictions before heading out to enjoy your public lands. In practice, incorporate closure maps into your planning. Many BLM districts publish fire restriction maps on their websites, and the Forest Service often has interactive or PDF closure maps. Before finalizing your lake spot, visit the Forest Service or BLM webpage for that unit or fire center. If a relevant lake or forest is under closure, especially common late summer, you'll know in advance and can pivot to another area. Apps like Avenza allow importing Forest Service PDFs, including closure overlays, to corroborate what overlays show. Bottom line, ensuring your chosen lakeshore row spot is not within a current fire closure can avoid legal trouble and keep you safe. Cross-checking land ownership and rules. Securing the exact camping spot requires double-checking who manages that patch and what rules apply. Beyond the general overlays, take 3 specific steps. Map boundaries easements. Verify boundaries on multiple sources. Aside from the public land layer, check official BLM or Forest GIS. The BLM has mapping tools showing federal easements on private land. In practice, apps like OnX highlight any private parcels or easements near public land. If you see a break in the public outline, zoom in and confirm. It might be private land, a national park, or tribal territory, which might have separate visitor rules. If only a narrow easement connects the road, camping off the road might be disallowed. When in doubt, choose a spot clearly within the shaded public overlay, not where the color fence meets white space. Road and trail status. Confirm that the route to your site is open to the type of vehicle you have. MVUMs tell you which roads are legal to drive. Also check county or forest web pages for seasonal closures, e.g. snow gates, and access warnings. Don't assume a visible 2-track on satellite is drivable. It might be gated or a footpath. Online forums or dispatcher contacts can help. For instance, a quick call to the local ranger district can verify if a road is gated or washed out. Remember, road closed gates or signage are absolute stops. Respect any barricade. Camping versus campground rules. Determine if your spot is in a dispersed zone or a designated campground. Some public areas mix free camping with fee campgrounds. Typically, dispersed camping is allowed outside developed sites, but some forests require permits or restrict the number of nights. Check the managing agency's website or kiosks, e.g., dispersed camping guidelines pages to be sure your site qualifies. For example, forests note you should stay 100 feet away from water bodies and not set up in developed camp loops. If a lakeshore spot is adjacent to a marked designated campsite on the map, it might not be legal to camp there without a fee. When in doubt, treat poorly signed or ambiguous sites as dispersed, unless an official sign or map says camp here. In short, always cross-verify boundaries and policies with more than one source. Combine an app overlay with a printed MVUM or Forest Service map, and consult official regulations online. Many campers emphasize the mantra, know before you go. Double-check public land, fire restrictions, and road status for your destination. Offline maps and satellite reconnaissance. Once you identify candidate locations, prepare for field navigation. Offline mapping is crucial far from reception. Apps like Gaia GPS and OnX Off-Road let you pre-download map tiles, including topographic and ownership layers, so your phone, tablet becomes a fully featured GPS device, even outside cell coverage. For example, Gaia GPS specifically touts that it allows downloading the map of any area straight onto your phone, enabling navigation without signal. Rigged Out's Offline Maps Guide similarly advises, offline maps solve this. Download your area before you leave, and your phone or tablet becomes a capable GPS device. Workflow for offline prep. Select and mark waypoints. In your app or Google Earth, Drop pins on promising spots near the lake. Download maps. In Gaia or Onyx, use the offline feature to cover the entire route plus a buffer around the site. Include topo and satellite layers if possible. Print or cache. Save a backup. Consider printing relevant MVUM or BL map pages, or use Avenza with georeferenced Forest Service PDFs. They can also be saved offline. Check imagery. Use Google Earth or high-res satellite mode to eyeball the site. Look for sandy flats versus dense brush. Verify the road length and see if clearings exist. Pay special attention to shoreline color. Bright tan or gray often signals a beach or rocky shelf, whereas dark green-blue edges can hint at sudden drop-offs. Path conditions. Some users recommend switching to imagery from different seasons, if available, to spot vegetation changes or water levels. For instance, a shoreline might be muddy at high lake levels, but exposed beach at low levels. While there's no single citation for satellite interpretation tips, digital outdoors guides stress visual recon as a last investigative step. If in doubt, check Street View on highway speed roads nearby. Some Google cars go by lakeshores. If imagery resolution is poor, review user photos on apps like iOverlander or The Dirt to visualize the terrain, especially any sign of steep slopes or soggy ground. Crowdsourced data and review vetting. No mapping approach is complete without the human element. Crowdsourced camping apps like iOverlander or FreeRoam rely on traveler-contributed listings and reviews. By account, all of the information in iOverlander is crowdsourced, meaning all of the locations in the app are uploaded by other users. This user data can alert you to hidden spots or warn of hazards. Sites like Camping Needs. Note that iOverlander covers North America with the largest user-reported free campsites, a useful starting point. Meanwhile, FreeRoam is praised for its very clear ownership overlays, letting you see right away if a pinned spot really lies on public land. After locating a likely site on a map, check iOverlander or FreeRoam for user comments. Perhaps someone has already given GPS coords or a photo. Conversely, lack of entries can be a sign the spot is new, or that users overlooked it. Also, consider more curated review platforms. The Dirt, for example, provides verified user reviews, often with photos, of campgrounds and dispersed sites. Camping Bob's Roundup notes the Dirt helps you judge if the site can handle a large tent or RV through its review photos. On the flip side, the Dirt's offline maps and many features require a subscription. Campendium is another free site with user reviews, although it mostly covers developed campgrounds. In summary, use crowdsourced pins as a guide, but confirm each with official maps in your own judgment. If a user review or photo shows a great lakeside glade, then switch to the Topo Map tab and confirm it's public land at a gentle lakeshore. If a comment warns of flooding or difficult road, treat that as a serious red flag. Always cross-reference. A nice photo from iOverlander doesn't overrule a no camping sign or closure notice. Pre-trip research checklist. Before heading out, run through this planning checklist to ensure a legal and safe lakeside camp. Pick potential spots on maps. Use public land overlays, e.g. Onyx FreeRoam, to identify lakeshore areas marked as USFS BLM state land. Confirm land status. Cross-check those spots on official maps or MVUM PDFs. If possible, overlay BLM and Forest Service maps in one view. Ensure the site is clearly on public land, not private or restricted. Check road access. Verify access roads trails on the Forest Service's MVUM, or by contacting the Ranger District. Note the distance, road surface, and whether 2WD versus 4WD is needed. Mark waypoints for any gate or junction. Review fire and park alerts. Visit the Forest or BLM website for the district. Look for know before you go alerts, anything about campfire bans, area closures, or even wildlife closures. Make sure the spot and roads to it aren't within a current closure. Download offline maps. In Gaia GPS or similar, download data store area including topo, satellite, and land boundary layers. Include a buffer around your planned route. If using Avenza, download the Forest/BLM PDF map for geolocated offline use. Inspect site via imagery. Fly over the coordinates with Google Earth or satellite view. Look for campsite features: flat ground, shade trees, distance from water, beach versus rock. Check for signs of river channels, flash flood risk, and visually confirm any overhead dead trees if visible. Check user info. Search camping apps, iOverlander, Campendium, The Dirt for that location. Read any notes or reviews. Look at pictures. Do they match the map? Did anyone report closures? Note required passes and rules. Some public lands require a campground pass or free camping permit, e.g. Idaho requires a free permit. If your spot is on Forest Service land, see if you need a free permit at a chute kiosk or online. Note any vehicle quarantine or sanitation rules if in a quarantine zone. Plan safety items. Ensure you have enough water or know of sources. Some dry lake shores may have no water. Prepare for cell service blackouts by letting someone know your exact coordinates and return date. Great preparation now pays off. When you arrive at the lake, you'll have a clear map route, know you're on legal ground, and understand any rules in effect. Red flags to avoid. Finally, be alert to any warning signs on the ground or in your research that you should skip a site. Common red flags include private land indicators, no trespassing or private property signs, fences, or gates. If you see these, even if a map seemed to show public land, turn around. Recall that OnX notes government lands may not be open for public access, so on-the-ground cues are key. Road closures or gates. A barricade, locked gate, or road closed sign means do not proceed. Don't drive around barriers. An MVUM may mark that road closed, and closing usually means unsafe or off-limits. Steep or hazardous terrain. Any cliffs, extremely steep banks, or dense brush right at the lakeshore are dangerous for camping. The campsite should be on relatively level ground. A safety expert suggests checking above for dead tree limbs, widowmakers, and checking below to avoid camping in a flash flood zone. If the map contours are very tight or imagery shows a dark drop-off, find a flatter spot. Proximity to water rules. Playing by leave no trace rules, stay at least 100 feet from the water's edge. Avoid bathtub concave basins where rain would pool. If the only flat area hugs the beach, move away. Dense vegetation or sandy soil. If satellite or a quick walk reveals that the shore is muddy wetland or thick alders, it's not suitable camping ground and may be environmentally sensitive. Likewise, very loose sand might not hold a campfire ring and can blow out. Wildlife bear sign. If you see lots of fresh bear droppings or open garbage nearby, relocate. The Dirt's photo reviews often help spot these issues beforehand. Prohibited developments. Do not camp inside marked picnic areas, boat ramps, or parking lots. These are often public, but not for overnight stays. Unclear management. If maps conflict or you simply can't confirm the site's status after research, it's safer to err on the side of not camping there. Spotting these red flags during your scouting will keep you from unwelcome confrontations or safety hazards. Even a beautiful lakeside clearing is not worth risking a trespass fine or a landslide injury. Conclusion. By systematically using mapping technology and official sources, you can locate terrific lakeside boondocking spots with confidence. Begin by overlaying public land boundaries and topographic hydromaps to find suitable shorelines. Cross-check roads with forest MVUMs and monitor wildfire or seasonal closures. Plan your entire trip offline, downloading maps and analyzing satellite images of the terrain. Finally, supplement these steps with crowdsourced campsite info and a critical eye for any on-site warnings. A disciplined pre-trip checklist ensures nothing is forgotten. Verifying land status, downloaded maps, and local rules are all steps before you go. Following this approach transforms an uncertain treasure hunt into a well-planned adventure. You will arrive at the lake confident the spot is legal, safe, and matches your needs. Happy and responsible boondocking. All links to sources are available in the text version of this article. You can find the full article at boondocking.tips.blog. Thanks for listening. For more research-driven boondocking guides, off-grid camping tips, RV travel advice, and van life strategies, visit boondocking.tips. That's boondocking.tips for the full written research and new camping updates.